Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jaclynn. This is my jungle. And if you're not new here, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate you for still being here. So, your girl was scrolling through Instagram, and this is something that I definitely talk about here and there, but I've never done a full dedicated video on it, and I felt like it was appropriate because I feel like maybe there are some of you who just have not heard this information. And as somebody who's been doing plant YouTube and content creation for 6 years now, and before that I had been growing plants since, I don't even know, 2015, something along those lines, is when I really started getting into plants. I always had some here and there. My mom always had them growing up, but it wasn't until then that I really hardcore got into collecting plants, and then started my channel that you're at right here, just a few years later. So I like to think that I have a pretty good understanding of the plant market, because not only have I been making plant content and just learning everything about plants for the last 6 to 8 years, I have also been selling plants since 2019. So I spend a lot of time online. I spend a lot of time looking at videos and comments and things that people are talking about. I spend a lot of time in live sales on Palm Street, before that over on Instagram, and I pay attention to what people are asking for, what people are willing to pay for things. And since I am buying a lot of plants wholesale myself, I am pretty savvy on usually what they cost. So I feel like I have not necessarily authority, because that's a weird word and it makes me uncomfortable, but I feel like I have some say in the plant market and what it looks like. And I think that it's really important as plant buyers and plant collectors to understand the market, how it works, how it fluctuates, and what gives a plant its value. Because plants don't really necessarily have intrinsic value. They just kind of exist. So the cost really is dependent on a handful of factors. So stop buying rare plants unless it's something you really, really feel like you want to do. Obviously, I'm not here to judge anybody. I spend hundreds of dollars on anthurium. Granted, I have a purpose for that, and we will get into that. But I think that there are some questions that you need to ask yourself before you spend a lot of money on a rare plant. What does rare even mean? Because rare in terms of plants in the plant market doesn't necessarily mean the same thing that it means in other spaces. So rarity when it comes to a plant is literally just based on the supply and how much of that plant is actually available in the market that we are in. And obviously I can only speak on the American market because that is where I live and that is where I work. But I do get feedback from a lot of you in Canada and in other countries, Australia as well, in terms of what's available and what the prices are. So I'm not exactly as in tune, obviously, with the market in Canada as I would be here in America, but all I know is that it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in Canada. But the plants don't grow there. So there are a few things that you really need to ask yourself. Why is this plant considered rare in the first place? Because it's not literally because it's rare in nature. It's not endangered. If it was, then we should be leaving them in nature where they live. But that is not the definition of the word in the way that we use it. Rarity in the plant community means that it's hard to obtain because it's scarce and it's usually expensive. So those are the two factors that go into a plant's rarity. And obviously, if something's considered rare, there's more demand and not enough supply, so that also drives the price up. But there are 4 questions that I want you to ask yourself before you spend money on a new, exciting, expensive, trendy plant. And this is something that you guys have heard me talk about almost every single time I come across a Syngonium in a garden center that used to cost $200 and now is $12. Does it grow fast? Is the first question you should ask yourself before spending money on an expensive plant. Because if a plant grows like a weed, like Syngonium do, and like pothos and things along those lines, if they are growing really, really quickly, then it's only a matter of time before there are more of them available because they grow rapidly. And number 2 that I want you to ask yourself, is this plant easy to propagate? Because those 2 factors are going to be the most important thing in terms of where that plant is going to go in the market. So plants are introduced to the market usually from overseas because, again, they don't naturally grow here. So a plant is introduced to the market. There's a lot of hype around it. People are excited. There's not a lot of them available, and it drives the cost up. But you will notice if you stick around, just give it 6 months to a year. If that plant is easy to grow and propagate, the market is just going to become flooded with them. And we have seen this happen time and time again, if you guys are not new here, with the Pink Princess, the Tycon, and now with the Burl Marks Fantasy from Costa Farms and Lowe's. And that is what kind of sparked this whole conversation on Instagram. I saw a post where she was kind of like laughing at her pain finding the plant for $20 that she paid for a lot more, $250, I think, for just a year or 2 ago. So I went through the comments and I saw a lot of people mentioning, same thing happened to me with the Pink Princess. Now you can get them for $10. Now you can't even sell them for $10. Nobody even wants them. Same thing happened with the Tycons. So it's really just kind of like this cycle, and I see a lot of people getting kind of discouraged over it in the comments and a lot of the commentary. So I think it's really important that if we equip ourselves with this information and ask ourselves these questions, that we will make better plant buying decisions. So, does it grow fast? Is it easy to propagate? The next question you're going to ask yourself, is it in TC? TC is tissue culture. Can it be tissue cultured? This is something that you can look up. You can ask around in the community if you're unsure. But if it's something along the lines of like a philodendron or a monstera, you can bet that they are at least trying to tissue culture it. And it is a process that does take a few years. So there are ways to find out what plants are currently being tissue cultured to be released in the next few years. So it's really important to understand that tissue culture completely changes the market. It tanks the market value on plants. That's what happened with the Pink Princess and the Thai constellation. As soon as they started tissue culturing those plants, they saturated the market and the price just went plummeting down because now you have a ton of supply and the demand is continuing to dwindle. So does it grow fast? Is it easy to propagate? And is it currently being tissue cultured? Are questions that are all going to impact how much you should be willing to pay for a plant. Because, like, again, I use Syngonium as an example because I feel like it's the best example to use. It's literally a weed. This thing is invasive. Like, it grows like crazy. It should never be expensive. They are so fast growing, so easy to root and propagate. It's a non-issue. You should never be spending a ton of money on a rare Syngonium, okay? Because I made that mistake. And boy, oh boy, did I feel stupid. Not even a year later, when that exact plant was being sold for like $20 that I paid like over $100 for. So I don't want that for you guys. I don't want you feeling like you have to spend all of this money because you need a plant right now. And that is question number 4. Do you need it right now? Or can you wait a couple of years? Because I guarantee you a few years from now, you're going to be able to get that plant for a fraction of the cost that it is right now. And even though some plants don't ever go into tissue culture, or they just don't tissue culture well, the market value on things are always changing. So take Monstera albo, for example. Notoriously kind of a pain in the butt to propagate. They tend to rot. They are not easy to root. I mean, once you crack the code on it, it's pretty easy. I just use 100% perlite. But they are a little bit more finicky, a little bit more prone to rot than other Monstera, which is why you don't necessarily see as many of them flooding the market as you do the Thai constellations. The Aureas are also kind of a pain. They melt more than anything for me. Honestly, my albos are like the most resilient plant, like period. Like you can't mess up a Monstera albo. They are like literally the easiest variegated Monstera you're ever going to grow and own in your life. But that's not the point. The point is they have not yet been able to successfully tissue culture this plant. I know that people are trying. I know people have been successful in smaller batches, but they have not been able to mass produce the Monstera albo to the degree in which we are able to mass produce the Thai con and probably eventually the Aurea, but I wouldn't be surprised if scientists, botanists are running into a little bit of an issue with the Aurea, the same as the albo. And tissue culturing doesn't always work. Sometimes you don't get the desired variegation. You can tissue culture a variegated plant and get no variegation at all, or you can tissue culture a totally green plant and get a bunch of weird variegation, which is a lot of the stuff that you're seeing on the market now. All the different variegated Monstera is literally a product of tissue culture, and weird stuff happens with the genetics and they just kind of pick those out and cultivate them and grow them and give them a new name. So human interference is the reason why we have most of the variegated plants that we have, but that's not the point of this video. I'm using the albo as an example because it is one plant that I have seen the value decline at a very slow, steady pace as more people, more growers have a stock of them and propagate them. And the demand for them is definitely dwindling. The prices have come down slightly, but not at all to the degree in which you're going to be finding Monstera albos anytime soon for $20 in Lowe's or Home Depot. So it's just really important to understand this information on the back end so that you guys can make better buying decisions. Because if you're waiting for a Monstera albo to be at Lowe's for $20, you're going to be waiting for a really, really long time. So if that's not something that you want to do, then investing the like $200 in a really nice, colorful, big Monstera albo might not be a bad decision for you. You can also get a small one. They grow pretty quickly, and like I said, they're pretty resilient. So these are all things that you're definitely going to want to research about a plant before you go and drop a ton of money on it. Do you really need it right now, or can you wait a few years? Is it easy to propagate? Does it grow quickly? And is it being tissue cultured? Because if it is being tissue cultured, then there are thousands of them about to hit the market in the next few years, and the value is just going to completely tank. And this can be really frustrating for sellers as well, because it's so hard to predict and it's so hard to know where the market is going to go and what buyers are even going to want. So when we invest a bunch of money in plants, unfortunately, it doesn't always work out, but it is kind of just part of the game. And really, I'm here to help you guys make good plant buying decisions, make good purchases. And I hope that through sharing my experiences with plants that it can help you guys. So hopefully that can help you understand how the market works. It is a very supply and demand type of situation, but also it is a scarcity thing. So it's important to understand where our plants come from, especially the really rare exotic tropicals. They're all coming from overseas, and they are very, very abundant over there, and it is only a matter of time before everybody starts importing them over here. So it's just kind of like a waiting game with most plants. Even like fancy anthurium like Carla Blackie are growing them in mass. They are being mass produced in Ecuador, in Indonesia, because they see that there is a demand for them. Their biggest market is here in America, and they see the demand for them, so they up their supply. So is it always done in an ethical manner? Maybe not, but that's a conversation for a different day. I also think that people in other countries like Ecuador and Indonesia have the right to make a profit off of the plants that naturally grow in their backyard. This is how a lot of families make their money over there. Like, we are funding their life, their lifestyle. We are literally giving these people jobs through buying their plants. So I think it's important to understand the nuance in that. If you guys want me to do a whole video on poaching and where our plants are coming from and really deep dive into that, I am happy to do that. It is a very controversial topic. I have my opinions about it. I talk to a lot of other people in the plant industry about it, and there is a general consensus about it, and I think that there's just a lot of misinformation that is spread, unfortunately, on the internet. But like I said, that's kind of a topic for another video. Today I really wanted to focus on understanding the plant market, and just be patient, you guys. Just be patient, because I have been wanting a Burl Marks flame for years now, but I refused to spend $200 on a little teeny tiny little baby because they grow very, very slowly and they're not that easy to propagate. So these are all factors, again, that go into what makes a plant rare and expensive. But what did they do instead? They tissue cultured it and they let them grow out for a little while, and now they're literally in Lowe's for $20. Your girl has been holding out for years because I wanted a big mature one and I didn't want to spend $1,000 on it. So here I am. Hopefully 2025 is going to be my year to get my big Burl Marks flame that I've been wanting for a few years. Let me know in the comments below what rare and expensive plant you have been waiting for. Have you found one recently? I know a lot of you are still very excited to find Thai constellations in your grocery stores and in your garden centers because they were not available for a really long time up until now. So I would love to hear what plants you guys are waiting on, what plants you have found lately, and feel free to share some of your plant buying regrets as well. I personally try not to regret anything, but I have definitely overspent on plants that I shouldn't have, that the prices came way down on shortly after. And it can be pretty painful, especially in this economy when we don't just like have disposable income like that. So I urge you to just be smart and be patient. And if you ever have a question about a plant and where it's at in the market and you can't find information, please do feel free to reach out to me. I am stressed out by my Instagram DMs because there's just too many of them. But if you reach out to me on Palm Street, that's definitely an easier way to get in touch with me. You can send me an email. I'm hoping to have like a Discord server. I keep forgetting to set up a Discord server so that you guys can actually like contact me and send me pictures and ask me questions. I'm happy to help. I don't want you spending a ton of money that you don't have on a plant only to be heartbroken 6 months, a year later when the prices come way down on them. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Hopefully some of this information like really sunk in for you guys. Hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully you can think twice next time before you swipe on that expensive plant. Oh, I did want to mention too that when is it appropriate to spend money on a plant? And for me, as a grower, as a breeder, I only spend money on anthurium and really big mother plants of Hoya that I know in reality will drop in their value over time, but it is a little bit slower of a process with Hoya because, like, I don't think anybody's tissue culturing Hoya. And they can be like slower growing and they're really easy to propagate, but they can be a little bit on the slower side. So Hoya are definitely like more of a place where I feel comfortable spending a little bit more money, especially if it's on a larger plant. I will opt for spending more on a larger plant that I can propagate over like a cutting of something expensive and waiting for it to grow. So with things like that, because I am a seller, I mean, and you guys can obviously sell cuttings locally and in like your plant groups online as well. It's an investment. So like if I get a large plant, I'm able to propagate and make most of my money back on it right away. And then everything from there is just profit and I get to enjoy a really beautiful plant. And then the only other time I will spend money is on an anthurium with really nice lineage. Recently picked up, I have to like actually physically go pick it up, but I recently just purchased a anthurium's Anthurium Woohoo's First Night clone from my friend Matt over at the Plant Ward. And that is when it's appropriate to spend a lot of money because I plan on breeding with it and making babies with it. And your girl doesn't just willy-nilly drop like $500 on a plant that has no return on my investment. So I think that it's appropriate to drop a lot of money on a plant if it is something that's more one of a kind, like how some anthuriums certainly can be. They cannot be duplicated unless they are propagated or cloned. Even if you self an anthurium, the babies genetically are not the same as the parent. So there's a little bit more that goes into anthurium that makes them a little bit more expensive. It's a whole different world. The anthurium market is definitely different than the rest of the market for sure, in terms of there is definitely just a lot more uniqueness and specific lineages and genes that are desired over others. You just don't really see that in other species, in other genre. It's just not really much of a thing. So I'm okay with spending a lot of money on an anthurium if it's kind of a one of a kind. And I'm okay spending a lot of money on a big mama basket of some really nice Hoya. Your girl's been on a silver Hoya kick. I'm really excited for you to see. I'm really excited for you to see the new ones that I got soon. So yeah, I think that's really it. I think obviously no shame, like no shade at all if you're one of those people who just like has the disposable income and you're like totally fine with spending a ton of money on like a new, exciting, trendy plant that will likely drop in value. Like, you do you, boo-boo. Like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help out the people who don't have like a ton of disposable income, but still want to obtain beautiful, rare, variegated plants at a reasonable price. So my ultimate goal is to get the plants in your hands, whether you're buying them directly from me or I'm just giving you advice on what to buy and what not to buy and what might be good for you and what might not work for you. So hopefully I can save you some money today. And I just really love you guys and I want you to make smart buying decisions. I don't want you to buy into the hype and what the influencers are telling you and all of that nonsense. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know if you have any feedback or anything you want to add to the conversation in the comments below. I love, love, love hearing from you guys. You should also give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. All of these things really, really help out my channel. Any type of engagement that you can leave on videos. That's why I always tell you guys to just leave me an emoji if you watched this whole entire video. Leave me money emojis, dollar signs, because we're trying to save money today, right? We're trying to learn how to shop smart for our plants. So that's it. I love you guys so very much. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are out there in the world, and I also hope that I see you in the next one. Bye.